do that for you guys? Did you guys have guest speakers? Was that sort of his style?
But see, that's the beauty of what camp is, too. There's a lot of personalities that come out during that year. We've had Calipari at our camp. We've had other actors at our camp. Like, there's a lot of this that goes on. So this is the cool part of being able to, come together as a team is you have this type of stuff that happen for people who are either fans of the game or either, just fans of the actual team, too. So Ric Flair being in town, this is fitting for him to be here.
So do your eyes sort of instinctively, well, we've got Titan safety Amani Hooker coming over to the table as Buck jogs over here. I think
right
Buck
now.
just shed another half-pound booking it over to the broadcast setup.
Absolutely.
Moan, appreciate you hanging out, man.
doubt.
We'll talk to you down the road here. But Titan safety Amani Hooker getting ready to join the Buck Rising Show live from St. Thomas Sports Park.
And he's sitting down with us right now. I raced you over here. What's happening?
Nothing much, man. Had a good practice day.
Yeah. What was the energy like? Kind of tell the audience, because we're doing an audio thing here. They can't see everything that we just saw. What'd you like about the way that your group performed today?
They performed good. Today was all about the details, locking in on all our details in the calls, making sure we're conditioned, and making sure that we get back to the basics today.
Man, your group is about as talented of one that you could find in the league, especially given how young all you guys are. But with the details, this time of year, you've been through this a couple of times, even though you're one of those younger dudes. You've been through this. How much are you seeing the carryover from the detail work that you were doing when we broke for off-season carry over to right now?
Guys are locked in. Guys, over the off-season, they didn't lose what we taught and what we went through last year. It's carried over, so we're able to add more stuff. We don't have to revisit too many things because guys are on top of the playbook, and guys have just showed up, and we got a lot of young guys, but they're mature, and they understand the situation that we have and the talent we have in the group. So we just want to go out there and perform well.
Now, you're not an old head yet, but you've been at it for a little while. Is it starting to feel like you're the veteran? You're doing podium stuff. You're stuck with us more often. Like you're one of the guys now.
Yeah, I've been here my 4th year. About to be my 2nd year going into a bigger role, and I just want to make sure I lead guys. So that comes with, I guess, that's maturity. So I got to make sure I'm mature enough to just lead my group.
That's something your head coach has talked to us a lot about. Everybody leads differently, and I think it's important to kind of have those different dynamics in the room for everybody to have people that they can go to in certain instances, in certain circumstances. Has it been like that, the dynamic for you guys?
Yeah, for us it's like guys can come to me, guys can come to KB, even guys go to Elijah. Even though he's a young guy, he's smart. He knows the playbook. He's going to his 2nd year, but it seems like he's been here for the same amount of times I've been here. So we got a lot of guys in the group that can lead, and guys aren't afraid to ask questions.
Amani Hooker hanging out with us fresh off the practice field here at St. Thomas Sports Park. So you're going up against the offense the last couple of days. I know there's a couple of days that we didn't get the opportunity to see, but guys have been out here working. It seems like everything is operationally sound from what our untrained eyes can see out here on the field.
Yeah, guys from offensively, you can tell they're on top of it. You got guys like Nick Westbrook that come in, they'll great player, makes deep passes, makes a deep catch for touchdowns, and does little things. And you got Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill's controlling the offense. So we expect them to be on point, and same for us as a defense.
Now, a guy like Nick has seen every different level of what it is to be a professional football player. Coming in as an undrafted guy, now he's a veteran out here and knows all 3 of the positions at the wide receiver that they ask those guys to play. From your standpoint, when you're going up against a guy like that and seeing the work ethic and seeing those kind of that day-by-day progression, how big a difference do you see in him from the time that you guys got here to where you are now, both heading into year 4?
Yeah, just for me, it's him being on special teams, making plays there, and then the opportunities he had on offense. He takes advantage of every single one. He's a guy I know on offense they can count on, and then at defense, when offense is on the field, we know that Nick's out there, he's going to make a play or get that first down.
So the young guy, we talked about how young the group is anyway, but the rookies anyway. You got Theo, you got Roger McCreary, you got a couple of the undrafted dudes working in and getting some good reps. What kind of stands out about the new crop of defensive backs the Titans just added?
We got a smart group. Honestly, I think this is the smartest group we had come in right away. Not many mistakes. Obviously little things here and there, but they're getting the calls across, they're getting guys lined up, and they've been improving ever since May. So great progression. I can't wait to see them go this preseason.
It just helps you play faster, right?
Definitely. When you just go out there and you don't have to think about where you got to be, and we put a lot of time in walkthroughs, not during practice, and in the meeting room as well to make sure they're on their P's and Q's.
Yeah, you got to be careful when you're out here. You don't know who's going to end up harassing you.
It would have been a good tackle.
All right, so for those who can't hear Taylor off mic, Was this an open field tackling drill, or was this in team?
No, it was a little team period. You know, D-Hand was towards the sideline. You know, I did my best to make sure I can use the sideline to help me tackle.
So a tackle on Derrick Henry would have been a nice one. Now, that's not something that a lot of people have the opportunity to say.
Yeah, I know. I just try to take advantage of my opportunities.
Yeah, no question about that. Amani Hooker hanging out here with us at Titans training camp. So are you about to be a new dad?
Yes, I am.
That's
yep.
incredibly exciting, man. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I mean, how much of your off season has been occupied by that? That's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, ever since I found out, it's all been about taking care of my girl, making sure she's good, and then obviously I got more on my shoulders. And I thought I had a lot on my shoulders already, but now I got a lot more to live for.
So who out here has been peppering you with the most fatherly advice? Because you got a lot of dads. There's a lot of kids running out here. It feels great to have a more familial atmosphere at training camp again. It feels a little more natural to be out here with everybody again.
Scott Booker, my coach, KB, and then Mitch, our pastor. So I've been talking to a lot of the guys. Rabel comes, talks to me as well, and I got a lot of father figures to look up to and ask questions about as well.
What's the thing you're looking forward to most about being a dad?
Just loving my boy and make sure that he's a great human being who shows love.
Was it a boy?
A boy.
That's exciting. Amani Hooker, thanks for hanging out with us, boss. I appreciate you stopping by.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
After practice, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to carry some of the Titans press conferences live out here at training camp. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
Blaine Bishop. Kind of interesting and fast.
Included at training camp, Lucas Panzica, Will Bowling hanging out with you as Buck Rising has gone off to some of the media scrums to chat with some Titans players as they walk off the practice field. Will, hello, happy birthday.
Hello, thank you. Appreciate it. I left my crown at home or forgot to ask Buck to use his crown today that he always wears on his birthday. So it's been a good day. Thank you.
I'm so glad that his birthday did not happen during training camp.
Oh, Lord. That would have been horrible.
But you wouldn't have it any other way, right? Watching
No.
Titans practice on
Second
your birthday.
year in a row. Typically, that's always how I know I'm about to celebrate another trip around the sun if the Titans are starting training camp. So
While
good
we're
way
here,
to celebrate.
let's wish our guy V-Love, who shares a birthday with
Yes.
you, we will wish him a
Yes.
happy birthday as well. So, Brett, if you could.
And happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephen A.
We do care.
Appreciate that.
We do care. Happy birthday, V-Love. That's our guy, too. So, day 2 has wrapped up. I mean, as far as overall takeaways, Will, for me, observing as much as I could during the show and commercial breaks, it felt like there was less of a focus of pushing the ball downfield, of finding Traylon Burks like there was yesterday. A lot of work in the run game, that short intermediate passing game today.
Yeah, definitely. A little bit of a slower day, not quite as much to observe on day 2 with Mike Vrabel, coaching staff, taking things a little bit easier. Saw a lot more individual work, a little bit less team, a little bit less of live, throwing of any kind. Saw a lot of routes on air today. So perhaps not quite as much to observe, not quite as much to kind of share notes on today. Did kind of watch the quarterbacks and wide receivers a lot during the individual periods. You'll be able to see that video coming up on the 104.5 The Zone YouTube channel coming up here within the hour. But a lot of quarterbacks throwing on the run. Saw Ryan Tannehill, Logan Woodside, Malik Willis throwing on the run. Malik Willis particularly looking much more comfortable rolling to his right versus to his left, throwing across his body. So that was one quick observation just from watching him. But saw some guys kind of switching around. Can't really get into, obviously, specifics on where guys were with the first team or with the second team. But seen a little bit more of Nicholas Petit-Frere, a guy getting some more run. But just kind of mixing and matching some of the first-team guys and giving more guys opportunities to play with Ryan Tannehill, to play with the first-team offense specifically that I noticed today.
There's only so much you can glean from watching those drills, right? Like footwork drills, ladder drills, stuff like that. But with Malik Willis, I think it's a different case because you're right. There's that video, I think you already put it out, of the drill of rolling left, throwing with the right arm while rolling left, and there is a clear discomfort there. And I think just looking at that drill is a pretty big indication of the work that he has to do to factor in as the backup quarterback to push Logan Woodside at any point this season.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be interesting to see when Malik Willis gets more of those opportunities to play with the twos, because as it stands, there's a very clear hierarchy where Logan Woodside is still getting those those reps and is going to continue to get those reps, I think, as we expected. I'm not exactly breaking any news here in saying that, but there was a little bit of kind of a hitch rolling to the left specifically. It was a rollout, then stop, and make that throw over to the left side specifically. So something that I think this coaching staff will continue to work on. I saw all the quarterbacks working on throwing under pressure today. They were throwing things at him, both the other quarterbacks putting their hands up right in front of the guy who's throwing, trying to mimic that pressure and throw over guys to the defensive line. So certainly lots, to watch for the quarterbacks today and kind of those individual periods like you mentioned, but not a whole lot else today to get into.
So Ramon Foster is back at the 104.5 The Zone setup. We're waiting on press conferences over at the pavilion. Someone will approach the podium. Not sure yet who. First, Ramon, we've been wishing birthdays, been handing out birthday wishes today.
Absolutely.
Will Bowling, our guy V-Love. Brett, how about a happy birthday to one big Jeffrey Simmons?
Right.
Isn't it?
And happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
Jeffrey Simmons and I basically twins for anyone else who needed further confirmation about that.
I think Scherzer had a great birthday gift last night far as the Mets-Yankee game.
God, you know me so well. Coming over here and immediately talking baseball.
Can you imagine if Jeffrey Simmons had a big birthday gift today too with a new signing? That would be ideal right there.
What's up?
Today was really cool, man. We're watching some stuff right now in the field too. Malik is a physique, has a physique that's really, he's an athlete, man. He is going to do well. You can tell watching him throw, he's trying to find the sweet spot as far as throwing, as far as the short passes, as far as not overpowering, everything that goes around his arm as far as how strong he is too. I'll say this too. I heard a lot of people speak about Kyle Phillips. Oh, he looks like a regular pedestrian. No, he's got some some quads. He's an athlete, man. He's a quick twitch guy. As far as some of the newcomers and stuff like that, I've always kind of heard he's a smaller dude. No, he's not small. He's just small around a bunch of football players. I was impressed with what I saw from Dylan Radins too, man. Moved well, moved really well.
Yeah.
I was over here a second ago talking to Taylor Lewan and Ben Jones, man. Just two savvy vets. And as they said today, with the cool weather today, they got a whole lot of work in. So I'm very interested to continue to come out here and watch some of this. I enjoy seeing this side of football too.
How much as an offensive lineman are you playing that by ear and noticing, hey, good weather today, not too hot? How much more willing are you to get more work in? Like, when does that plan get made? What days are going to be maintenance days or rest days, and what days are going to be, all right, we're out here for more of the team period?
Yeah, no, it's funny you say that. You can look at the weather all you want to, but it's so many factors. It can be like 85 with high humidity, so you still lose no matter what as far as that goes, man. Ben and Taylor were acknowledging that, though. They were just like, today it's an AC day, okay? He said today's like day you go a little bit harder because of the weather, and it's you have to really, to your point, be in that mental space that, look, if we come out here dogging it, playing around, dragging, coach gonna make this a miserable day. You don't make a perfect weather day a terrible day. So you do watch it, especially the big guys. Little guys don't really matter or really don't care about those types of things, though.
Mike Vrabel speaking to the media now as soon as Brett Batchelor does have it up. So let's go ahead and check in with the Titans head coach Mike Vrabel speaking after day 2 of training camp out at St. Thomas Sports Park on 104.5 The Zone.
Much of an adjustment. I really think after the first day, you don't really even notice them, and I haven't heard any complaints, or I think that they have acclimated them to them well, and we added a little stripe just to make sure that as we're watching tape, that guys, eyes, and so much of this game is where your eyes are, and so some of those guys offensively, the linemen, we put a stripe on there just so that they, we can coach them up and watching the tape of where their eyes are. I will let you know next week. I'll let you know and see what the response is after, some of the inline play. But I don't anticipate anything. But we can talk about it next week.
How did that process come about as far as you guys wearing them so much?
Well, I think part of the competition committee, that I think part of the role is to try to make the game as great and safe as they possibly can. We hear from BioCore, the engineers and the doctors and the NFL Players Association, Dr. Meyer.
I'm rolling on it too, Lucas.
With the league, and they present the information, they present all the injuries, and then we try to go about figuring out ways to prevent them, to make our players as healthy as possible, and this was part of it. They said that the technology has changed, they presented it, and collectively we all said that was the right thing to do, to make it mandatory throughout the 32 teams and those players that are around the line of scrimmage.
How was Rashad Weaver maybe during the course of the offseason? Did he benefit from last year even though he got hurt early?
Well, I think what he benefited from was being around here in the offseason to get a lot of reps, to get in shape, to get healthy, to study. And the one thing that I always respected about Rashad when he was with us last year healthy was how hard he played. There were things that weren't perfect and there were mistakes, but he played with great effort. And that's always a great place to start. And I think what he's done this year now is come back healthy in camp and, started to try to look to define a role for himself, working hard on special teams. I think that's something probably that improved in the offseason was his ability to help us on special teams or understand that. And for some guys coming out of college, that's new, especially those defensive end types that transition to edge players in our league. They have to be able to play special teams.
Guys, Dylan, Nicholas, Brewer, and the technique that they're showing, even though they're not wearing pads right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things. We talk about pads being for protection and being able to do your job or make plays with your hands, whether that's a defensive lineman or an offensive lineman. at any position. So their ability to punch, to replace, to get their backside hand, in the sternum, wherever it needs to be on certain blocks. I think that it's been good. It's improved, but we're just getting started. So I think some of that stuff we'll continue to show, and we can evaluate it, next week, especially as we get pads on. But they're able to practice all the techniques that they're going to need. Just maybe not some of the contact and some of the shoulder contact that comes in on some blocks, not all blocks.
We were talking with Aaron Brewer. He was mentioning just about he gets asked about his size all the time or whatever. What does he do so well to, I guess, work around not being the biggest guy?
Well, he's explosive. He's quick. He's tougher than $2 steak, and he understands the angles and trying to get to guys, and understands pad level. Technique, and those are a lot of things that he can do that somebody that's bigger can't. Just the way that he moves. So I just like the way he competes. I like the way that he shows up to work every day and is willing to compete.
Do you change anything technique-wise or tweak anything because he is a much different looking player size-wise than Roger was at that position?
No, I think maybe there may be some game plan things that we would do based on if there was a, if you're playing an elite player, we would do that with whoever was there. But no, he's executing all the same things, and I think he's worked hard, and when he did have an opportunity to play for us, he's played pretty well for us. It's not like it wasn't good. He's helped us win games.
And what have you seen from Jamarco Jones so far? I know he's been playing some guard. How have you seen him kind of acclimate to you guys?
Well, again, new system. I think there's a little bit of things that have to continue to get ironed out, and that we're teaching him. That he's been working on through the off season. He's got good quickness, good size, and again, he's played in his opportunities that he had to play in this league. He did a nice job. So other than just some minor details that are different, maybe a way we're asking him to do certain things or take a landmark that's a little different, I think that he's going to be in a position to compete and try to help us.
Traylon has been returning punts some. What of his skill set makes you feel good about his ability to compete there, and how do you feel like he's coming along in terms of the competition of the few guys you have back there taking reps?
Well, the most important is that you catch it, that you can secure the ball. I think that's where we're at right now. I think that, one thing that he showed when, in college was that he was tough to tackle, with the ball in his hand, that he was, he could run after the catch. And so hopefully just trying to find as many places to get guys that can help us. And if he can catch and secure and make the first guy miss, then he has a chance to help us. But most importantly, he's got to be able to take care of the football. And I would say that there hasn't been an evaluation for the punt return job, catching it from the jugs, maybe a few from the punter, from Stoney or Brett. But without gunners coming at you or out live action, that's been hard to, evaluate. I think that he's getting more comfortable catching them, and hopefully we can see him out there in preseason.
Did you like the efficiency of today's practice the same way you liked the efficiency of yesterday?
I think there were times, and again, that's hard when, introducing something that's new during training camp. But just looking at the data, trying to make sure that we're smart on the third day. And I guess to me, this was the third day having a conditioning test and then practicing. So, but I don't think it was a throwaway day. I tried to evaluate what everybody was doing and how they were, working and trying to see if that was happening in the, the individual drills and the group drills. I know we threw a lot of routes in the group drill, so I don't think that there was a lack of speed or timing there. I thought that was good. And the jog throughs are never going to be perfect. There's 22 guys going at 22 different speeds, so we talk about that. There's not a winner and a loser of the jog through. You can only lose it by not knowing what to do or, falling on the ground, I guess, or not being in the right place.
Why did you invite Rick Flair here, and how much you think the players enjoyed him?
Well, I know they enjoyed it. I know everybody enjoyed it. Knew that he was coming in for the weekend. He'll be celebrating his final match on Sunday of an amazing, long, successful, sustained career.
Hey, Lucas.
And so just invited him over. Was able to visit with him before practice, and I thought he would love to talk to the players, which he was. He was excited to come over here. He brings an energy and excitement and passion, and I know that they appreciated it. And I did. I certainly enjoyed seeing him and getting to talk to him.
What was the theme on Sunday, Mike?
Yeah, my plan is to try to go on Sunday.
What was the theme of what he told the guys? Was it relatable?
Sure. Yeah, he talked about the family and all these distractions that we encounter on a daily basis, and sticking together, and coming back each and every day, to try to, keep stacking days together. You blink and then, a long career is over. So just trying to stay, consistent, each and every day, showing up and knowing that you have to show up and perform with that type of pressure.
He's been a fan of yours since your playing days. It sounds like you've kind of been a fan of his too. How much?
I don't know how you couldn't be just watching. Growing up Saturday mornings watching professional wrestling, with my dad, and that was something that we always did, and just listen to him give interviews and talk, and I think that those are certain. I mean, just the entertainer that he is and will always be.
When it comes to efficiency of practice, how and not intensity of practice, but the efficiency of doing what you want them to do, how much does that matter to you, equaling to actually winning when it comes to the process of which the team goes through?
Well, it's hopefully that we can understand where we're at in each and every practice and what's being asked of them, and making sure that there's a clear objective. I think that's a part of my job, is making sure that they understand what's asked of them, what's the objective of the drill, how is it going to translate to my job, and then where's the finish. And so going from different tempos sometimes isn't always easy. So the efficiency has to be, well, when you're in a jog through, that you're playing at full speed to the ball snap, that you're lining up, what your splits are, what the call is, what the checks are, and sometimes that can be even harder when you're not going full speed, because you tend to relax a little bit. So we'll take a look at it again. We'll be able to coach from it, and then we'll move on to tomorrow.
Asking Caleb just about what the most rewarding part of his journey back is as he cleared different hurdles, and he said really just actually being back on the field. He said learning to walk again is a real kind of reality check. I'm curious, from your guys' standpoint as coaches, how much mental coaching is involved with him as he goes through that process?
There's going to be, I think now we're probably past some of that. I think the most important conversations were in December and January, staying focused, staying committed, not getting frustrated. Those are all things. And if there was, there were some bad days that he came in, and I think that there were far many more good days and great days than there were, days that he, maybe was struggling. But now I think that there's the excitement of playing football, of feeling better, and we'll just handle those as they come like we would any other player. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. That is Titans head coach Mike Vrabel at the podium, finishing up his press conference from St. Thomas Sports Park. Lucas Panzica will bowling with you on 104.5 The Zone. Robert Woods, Derrick Henry, those are the two players that we're going to hear from here in just a few minutes. So Mike Vrabel, speaking on Aaron Brewer at left guard, talked about him being tougher than a $2 steak, a great cliche. Said he's explosive. Yeah, so praised his toughness, and he is locked into a battle right now with Jamarco Jones for that left guard starting role.
He is. I think that certainly is where all the eyes are going to go at this point. Interested to hear from Robert Woods here in a couple minutes as well about his mobility, his health at this point of the process. but tougher than a $2 steak. I pretty much immediately looked at you like that's one of the better Vrabelisms that I've heard.
Yeah, and on the Woods point, didn't have a knee brace yesterday, and Mike Vrabel kind of downplayed the significance of that, said, I don't really think a knee brace makes a difference one way or another, but it is certainly a positive development for the Titans that he didn't feel like he needed that. He hasn't been held back. Vrabel talked about him being kind of at 90% as far as the work he was getting in over the weekend, him along with Caleb Farley, but really you haven't seen anything from Robert Woods look any different as far as the work he's getting in with the other receivers.
It's a really good thing. I think it's really easy to overlook that because there isn't a lot of drama there for him right now. But I put out a video on 104.5 The Zone's Instagram page of him going through some individual drills at the beginning of practice. Looks really smooth, looks really quick, doesn't seem to have a lot of limitations right now, which is a really good thing. So very interested to hear from him in a couple of minutes about how he feels and really just the mental aspect of coming back from that injury. Taylor Lewan has spoken at length about that a season ago, about how that first game against Arizona, the Chandler Jones game, he just didn't really feel like himself, didn't want to be on the field because he didn't feel like he could trust that knee. So I'm interested to hear how much Robert Woods is already putting trust in that knee and in his own body to kind of come back and feel like himself again.
But first, let's hear from Titans running back Derrick Henry, who has just stepped to the podium at St. Thomas Sports Park. Here's number 22 on 104.5 The Zone.
A day-to-day or just kind of a week-to-week basis?
No, not really. I always just try to prepare the same and come out here and try to get better.
Seems like you've done more.
Derrick, it seemed like you did a lot of work in the pit and that kind of thing, but you're doing a little bit more this year. Is that because you were off with the injury last year, or is that just a change in strategy?
No, just come in and get some work and get some reps in full speed. Want to be out here with the team and just whatever coach wants me to do, I'm going out there trying to do and just trying to be a good teammate. But just happy to be out here with the team and back to football. So.
How much input did you personally have into the plan for you throughout training camp? I mean, did you discuss it with the coaches, or was it here's what we're going to do with you and how we're going to manage you through it?
Coach usually comes to me and tells me a plan, and I just say yes, sir, and go out there and do it.
As you continue to stack these seasons and output the volume, I know it's something you're not overly concerned about, but do you begin to kind of tweak just the way you prepare for the season or throughout the week for games?
No, not at all. Just continue to do what I've done. Not get too carried away with it, and trusting what I do, just taking care of my body and preparing the right way with these guys out here, and then go out there and trying to help them win.
Looked like you gave Traylon maybe a fist bump or two yesterday as he went through kind of day one out here. I wondered if you maybe remembered back to your days as a rookie going through the first days of training camp and relate to him a little bit that way. Oh yeah, definitely. Just want to tell him good job, and he's been doing a good job out here these last 2 days. And yesterday he made some good catches, playing with confidence, and just want to make sure he keeps it up. He's going to be able to make a lot of plays for us. So just happy to see him come out here and make plays.
Rick Flair said he was not a big fan of yours at Alabama, but he said you're his favorite player in the NFL. Did you get a chance to talk to him?
No, I didn't get a chance to talk to him. Hopefully I can catch him before he leaves. But I wasn't a big fan of his when I used to watch wrestling too. I always thought he was the bad guy. But it's pretty cool to have a guy like him. He's a legend in the WWE world. So it's cool to be able to meet him, hear him talk, and hear him say my name. I watched him on TV growing up for a long time. So it's kind of surreal, to meet people like him and come out here and let him talk to us after practice.
Derrick, how do you judge what is a good practice for you or what is a bad practice for you?
If I feel like I didn't do my job good enough, so I feel like I didn't do well, then that's not a good practice. But I'm always looking to improve. Whenever it's a good day, you try to find the things that you could have done better, and just focus on that and just try to get better every day while we're out here.
So far through the 2 days, do you feel like you've done that and had good practices as opposed to bad practices, or?
I'm not aiming to have a bad practice, but I'm just aiming out here to come out here and get better. If I have a bad play, try to do better on the next play, and just try to get better every day, whether it's good or bad. The main goal is always to improve each and every day while you're in training camp.
Derrick, has someone come up to you and just kind of ask you for some advice and see,
do anything extra with him being a rookie and having you as a guy that you can look up to?
You know, I mean, we work together, so you know, whenever we are in meetings or on the field, you know, I guess he's watching me while working, and anytime he asks a question, he asks. He's a confident kid, a confident player, and he played very well in college, so I don't think it's too hard for him adjusting. But anytime he asks a question, anytime I want to, you know, give him some tips or anything like that, you know, I'm always willing to do that. And but he's been doing well, so.
Is Eddie asking for a little pub today? Eddie George asking for a little pub?
Oh no, actually, but where I work out at, as a kid that I work out with that sells like vintage T-shirts, has a little business, and he told me he found this one, so I was like, yeah, I'll definitely take it. So.
That moment you shared with your daughter on the field yesterday, that kind of went viral. How cool was that for you to have a moment like that and kind of share it with the football world?
Yeah, it was something that, you know, she can look at whenever she, you know, gets older. You know, having these moments are always precious, especially with your kids. You know, because you know, being in football and training camp, you know, it takes up a lot of time. But anytime you get moments like that, you always cherish those moments and something that we can look back at and you know, laugh at and you know, have some joy from.
How was her form? Looked pretty good.
Yeah, she's always running, so y'all caught her in, you know, full stride. So.
Derrick, you said the approach doesn't change. Nothing changes training camp to training camp. But do you overall feel stronger or just more experienced despite coming off?
The goal is always to elevate my game and get better year after year, and that's always been my focus. And you know, I always train the same way, and you know, but the goal is always to be better each and every year.
I'm curious with a couple of replacements up front, like in practice, when you hit the hole, let's say in between the left guard or whatever, do you notice any nuances or differences in the way the hole opens or anything like that?
No, not at all. Coach Keith does a great job with those guys, and we have great leaders in our room, Ben, Taylor, and Nate. I mean, they know the standard. They know how we're supposed to play, so those guys fall in right in place, and everything's been good.
Can you, Taylor, talk to us in June about how he feels so much better and different than a year ago, and he was still struggling to recover from the ACL. Can you tell that he, you know, that he looks different on the field at all, or see any differences that he's maybe back to his normal form?
You know, Taylor always has energy. You know, he always brings the intensity, and you know, I know every day he wants to get better and be a better player each and every day he steps out here, and you know, I feel like he's always been the same. I mean, we all have, you know, games where we don't feel like we play the best or maybe a season, but you know, Taylor's gonna be Taylor, and I trust him, and glad he's on my side. All right, thank y'all.
That is Titans running back Derrick Henry on 104.5 The Zone. Okay, what we'll do here is hit a break. When we come back, Liz Allison of the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix will join the show and tell us about that event coming up, not this weekend, but the following. It's almost here. If you've been driving down Korean Vets by Nissan Stadium, you can see the grandstand set up. It's kind of fun to pretend like you're in one of those Indy cars as you zoom to work in the morning. But Liz Allison will join us. Coming up next, talk about the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. It's the Buck Rising Show on 104.5 The Zone.
golf tournament out there while we're in Scottsdale. That's going to be a great time, Curb. We're going to have a lot of fun. But that's next year. We're talking about this football season. Well, I guess that's the next Super Bowl. But either way, Mike Vrabel at the podium. You heard from Derrick Henry. Did you guys carry Derrick? I assume?
We did. We listened to Derrick talk about good and bad days, having his daughter running around out there yesterday. There was some good, wholesome content yesterday with Kevin Byard and Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill and their kids running around. You mentioned it to Amani Hooker. It is good to have friends and family running around. It just feels like a better vibe.
That's a
than
little
it has
thing.
been.
I'm sure everybody in some form or fashion, because like being in Titans training camp is not necessarily relatable, but I'm sure there's something in everybody's work life has had resumed some form of normalcy that is refreshing to have back. But as far as what I learned over there doing the press conferences, Derrick is doing a lot more of the team drills than he did last year. Now, I asked him if there's anything, if there's any kind of difference in his approach. He's been through, 6 of these? This is going to be 7 training camps. He's getting up there in age, so how you manage, how you approach, and he seemed to be fine with everything. It's not any different than it was from the first time that Derrick Henry came out here, other than the fact that he's not working behind DeMarco Murray. And with that, to kind of just monitor how Derrick's workload goes, even through training camp. Mike Vrabel said not to expect him to play in the preseason. I think that's a question for a lot of fans, fairly, I think, whether that's the most realistic approach. When you have a situation like Derrick coming off of injury that way, I think people would like to see him, or may want to see him, get some snaps. Just try and get back into the feel of things. And, of course, the cost on that far outweighs the benefit. I'm not worried about Derrick Henry forgetting how to, execute a cut on a certain blocking scheme when they're running zone versus gap. Whatever. I'm not worried about Derrick from that standpoint. But I think people just want to see that he can physically do it on a field of play other than what they witnessed in the Bengals game.
Yeah, I mean, you look back at last year's season opener. It was a really slow start for Derrick against the Cardinals. A slow start for everybody.
Offense.
For everybody.
By the way, that I forgot about the Chandler Jones rematch. I forgot he plays for the Raiders now.
Week 3?
That's coming.
Week 3. But
Head on a swivel, Lawan.
But even so, even if Derrick Henry gets the preseason reps, you're not going to play him in that third preseason game. And then you've got a layoff. There's a whole weekend in between the last preseason game and that kickoff against the Giants. So there's still a bunch of time that happens between that last preseason game that he wouldn't play in anyway and that week 1 game of 2022. So I feel like that's so overrated about getting him into a groove and knocking the rust off. You can knock all the rust off in the preseason, then he sits out for 15 days, and then the week 1 opener comes around. So the risk far outweighs the reward.
Now with Vrabel, there was a lot of talk about technical inefficiency, and the thing that I took away from Mike, just so people can understand what we watched here practice today, it was slower paced than anything that we had seen throughout really any course of the offseason. It was just a generally slower pace. But what Mike talked about today is technically this is their 3rd day on the practice field because they had conditioning, they had everybody reporting, they're trying to make sure everybody's in shape before they kind of let the thing go. And so they're monitoring, and it's basically how they pace themselves throughout the course of a training camp practice. For Vrabel, or for the Titans today, it was more of a faster paced walkthrough. But you got, what Mike said today is you got 22 different guys going at 22 different speeds. That was something Ramon talked about. You can tell who's been out here for a couple of years. You got the vets who've been 5-6 years in the league. They're just kind of casually hanging out. They're pointing and laughing on the sidelines. You got the rookies out here busting it to make sure that every coach who's watching and every scout and every person whose job is directly tied to that player knows that, hey, I'm out here working. Undrafted guys the same. It's just, difficulty by degrees. But his comments on Aaron Brewer, I think, I noticed the most. Now, he was asked about Brewer within a certain context. I think people are going to read quotes of that on Twitter and say, oh, the left guard competition is decided. Aaron Brewer is the left guard, bar none. And I don't think that's necessarily so.
But he's probably ahead. Just based on familiarity, experience.
Institutional knowledge.
Yeah.
That stuff matters. We talked about Hollister, Westbrook Akina, and those kind of players earlier. That stuff legitimately matters. They know, and they like what Aaron Brewer brings to the table, despite him being comparatively diminutive for a left guard. Again, Roger Saffold was Superman. Aaron Brewer was decidedly not that from a physical stature standpoint. But the quote was, I love he's explosive. Basically, how does he make up for the size deficiencies? And the quote was explosiveness. He brings that same kind of approach each and every day. He's figured out the technical standpoints to kind of you're going to get enveloped at a certain point because some 330-pound rage monster is going to pick you up and throw you across the line of scrimmage. Like, that's football. But from a risk mitigation standpoint, what did Mike say? Tougher than a $2 steak.
$2 steak.
You know, a lot of Kirby, you ever eaten a $2 steak? I'm sorry I'm making you turn your microphone so often.
No, that's all right. No, sure. Oh, yeah.
$2 steak?
I mean, any roadside diner that's got steak and eggs, baby, that's about $1.75 worth of meat right there.
Yeah.
Still has, to quote Rodney Dangerfield, this steak still has the marks on it from where the jockey was hitting it.
That's exactly. Kirby, I like Kirby. See, best in spurts, Kirby. Although I'm sure we will rely on his expertise and guidance many, many more times throughout the course of our training camp broadcast. Why we did that in college one time. You know, there's I don't know if you had this at UT. There's a dude who used to go around like the neighborhoods in Bloomington and like sell steak out of the back of his car.